Okay, welcome to lesson 2 on solving equations. Today we're going to be looking at solving two-step equations. So today we have two-step equations. Now everything we do after this point is going to just get something more complicated. But before we start solving, we got to simplify to these two very basic equation types. And only now, once we've simplified the left side and the right side, do we start moving things across the equal sign. Remember our mantra, okay? So what you want to say to yourself over and over as you're doing this is you want to say to yourself, do the opposite. And the second part is keep it equal. All right, so you have to do the opposite of the operation you see. Here is a plus 4. The opposite operation of positive is a minus. So if we have a plus, then we do a subtraction. If we have subtraction, we do an addition. If we have a multiplication, we do a division. And if we have a division, then we're going to do a multiplication. And in fact, we actually always do it in this order. So we're looking to do one of those two things first. And then the last thing that you're going to do is going to be doing a multiplication or division. So this will be your first thing, and multiply or divide will usually be your last thing. So you want to think of x kind of like an onion. All right, you have your equal sign over here, and what you want to do is you want to remove your outer layers first. So the outside layers got to get peeled off and then you get to the inside layers, and you can peel those off. And in order to get to the outside layers, you're usually looking to do the opposite of adding or subtracting. And then the last part, the inside layers, is going to be a multiplying or dividing. So let's have a look. Equation A. So we have 5x plus 4 equals 19. We have to do the opposite of a plus, so we subtract 4. But the second part is keep it equal. So not only do we have to do that to the right side, but we also have to do that to the left side. Now it's equal. So the equal sign should carry on down below like it always does. 19 minus 4 is 15, and 5x doesn't change. 5x stays as 5x. The only thing that's different is we have this crossed off. Now we don't have to write down plus 0 or minus 0. It's gone. So we can just erase all that. And that's why we are left with simply 5x, because the plus 4 and the minus 4 cancel out. Good. So that's the first layer of the onion. It's the plus 4 that's removed. Now we want to remove this 5. What math operation is it? It is 5 times x. So the opposite of times, divide. And we don't just do it to the left side or the right side. We got to do it to the left side. And so when we divide, these cancel out, and we're left with x equals 15 divided by 3, which equals, or rather, we have 15 divided by 5 equals 3. And this x equals 3 is our answer. Okay. Next question. Next question is 3x minus 5 equals negative 9. So what's the opposite of minus 5? Again, if this is an onion, we got to get rid of the outside layer. So don't worry about the 3. The number closest to the letter is always dealt with last. So the opposite of minus 5 is plus 5, both sides. 3x, these guys cancel out. Okay, and 3x equals, don't forget your equal sign should line up to make things easier to see. 3x equals negative 9 plus 5, negative 4. Now, I have 3 times x, so to divide by 3, I get x equals negative 4/3. Did I start with a fraction, decimal up here? No. So then you should keep that as a fraction. Don't go to decimals unless, of course, I give you decimals. There's nothing wrong with a fraction. You don't need to go to a mixed. You can keep this as nice, beautiful, and proper. Okay? So what we want to do is no decimals unless the question has decimals. So if I give you decimals in the question, then we're looking for decimals in return. Now, if things work out nice and neat, like for example, you have 8 over 4, sorry, not 8 over 4, if you have 3 divided by 6 equals 0.5, you know what, it's not the end of the world. But the worst thing we want to do is if we have a decimal like 0.51811818, and we see the answer is 5.2, that's not correct. It's rounded. So we want to try and avoid that. Leave it as a fraction. Okay. C is pretty challenging. You're not going to see a lot of questions like that. So here's your onion. There's the first layer. There's the second layer and then we have the final layer is the -6 part. So we got to peel apart those layers. We have to get rid of the -6. We have to get rid of the divide by 2. Then we have to get rid of the times by 9. And then once we got rid of those three pieces, we'll have x equals by itself. And that's what we want. So we got to get rid of those three layers in that order. So the first thing we're going to do is add 6 both sides. And so we get 9x over 2. That doesn't change. We did nothing to change it, so leave it the same. Line up your equal sign. Always, always, always. 21 plus 6 is 27. Now, the next thing now is to get rid of that 2 in the bottom. And because it's in the bottom, it is a division. And the opposite of division, multiply. So multiply by 2. 9x doesn't change. 2's cancel out. 27 times 2 is 54. Last step now, we have 9 times x. So now we're in our last layer to get x by itself. The opposite of timesing by 9, dividing by 9. Do that to both sides. Our 9's cancel. We're left with x equals 6. There we go. Done. Next question. Looks big and complicated. It's not. We have to collect like terms. So if we do not have something like the very first two questions, we then collect like terms or do our polynomial skills until they're like the first two questions. So don't move anything across the equal sign. We have a left side and we have a right side. The equal sign just carries on down. So the 13 plus 9, that becomes 22. 2x minus 5x is negative 3x, and the negative 5 stays the same. Only when it's this simple, notice now it is just like either the question in A or the question in B. Now you start solving it. Don't start solving until you collect like terms. So that's the first thing that you do. Then you go and solve after you collect like terms. Okay? So 3x minus 5, you move what first? Minus 5. And so we get negative 3x equals 27. Then divide by negative 3. So we get divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, x equals negative 9. Our 3's cancel. There we go. So first of all now, collect like terms, then start solving like we did up above. Any questions? Okay, so here's a little more complicated. Solve and check, but of course, what's the first thing we have to do? Collect like terms. So our equal sign won't change. Always line it up vertically. Solving 4 plus 20 is 24. Collect our x's. 3 minus 6 is negative 3, plus 7 would be 4x. And then we have negative 8, it doesn't change. Okay. So now we're going to do the opposite of minus 8. Add 8 both sides. We get 4x equals 32. You can see I'm starting to show a little bit less work here, and tomorrow we'll be showing a little bit less work as we get used to this. And by tomorrow, I mean maybe on Monday. So we get this answer, x equals 8. All right, instead of timesing by 4, I'm dividing both sides by 4, and my 4's will cancel. All right, but I don't know if that's the correct answer. It might be, it might not. So what we want to do is we want to do a check. So what is our check? Well, we're going to substitute this into the original equation. Now, it must be the original, okay? And here's the thing, you got to use brackets. You've got to use brackets. When you're substituting to the original equation, you have to use brackets. If you don't, you're going to change a multiplication into an addition or a subtraction, and it's going to get really weird really fast. Okay? For your homework, you have to solve and check 3 questions, 27, 29, and 31. So let's start by writing the original equation, 3 times x minus 6 times x minus 8 plus 7 times x equals 4 plus 20. So I'm going to start with the original, and I'm going to say x equals 8. So I will substitute that in at all the locations where I have an x value. Okay. Equal sign carries down, and what happens, I like to drop down the great wall of check. Okay, so I don't want to cross the equal sign. I'm going to have a left side and a right side, and the great wall of check in the middle, which means I don't cross it. So I get 3 times 8 minus 6 times 8 minus 8 plus 7 times 8. And over here I get 4 plus 20, which is 24. So now I'm going to do some BEDMAS. I'm going to simplify this side by doing some BEDMAS. So I'm going to go 3 times 8 is 24, minus 6 times 8, which is 48, minus 8 plus 56. So I'm going to go left to right. 24 minus 48 is negative 24. These guys don't change because I gotta go left to right. 24 minus 8 means I'm going to get more negative 32 plus 65. Now on my calculator, I'm going to check because you know what? I'm not very smart. Negative 32 plus 65, et voila, I get 33. Here I get 24. Does my left side equal my right side? No, it's not the same number. So Mr. Barker screwed something up. So I'm going to go back and check my work. Here we go. 24 minus 48. That's negative 24. Minus 8 is negative 32 plus 65. Whoops. 65 equals 33. Okay, so somewhere I made a mistake over here then. I'm going to go back and check. So let's double check my addition. So 3 minus 6, that equals negative 3, plus 4 equals 1. That's my mistake right there. Okay, I screwed that up. That's not right. 3 minus 6 equals negative 3, plus 7 equals 4. So I have 4x. And 24 plus 8 equals 32. 32 divided by 4 equals 8. So I'm going to go over here and double check. What's 6 times 8? 6 times 8, 48. Yep. Let me just check and see where my mistake is. I found where my mistake was. I wrote numbers down wrong, so I transposed. There we go. I changed my 56 to a 65. I reversed it. So let's go back and fix that. So this should stay as a 56. And so I get negative 32 plus 56. 32 negative plus 56. Voila, 24. So I get 24. And so what I can say now is 24 equals 24. I have my great wall of check. And so I can say the left side equals the right side. Because I have a balance between my left and my right, what does this mean? Well, when your left side equals your right side, that's probably how you're going to abbreviate it during your work. Okay, I actually want you to write this down, just not for kicks and giggles. So you write it down, and what this means, it means that x equals 8 is correct. That is the correct value of x. X does equal 8. There we go. Off to homework.